Hello and welcome to another edition of the ProtoBalls podcast. I'm ProtoMet.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Great job.
Firesecond Balls here.
Today we will...
Don't question it. It was meant to be out of context.
Okay. Today we will be taking a look at the third and final entry in Universal's Edgar Allan Poe trilogy.
The Tree of Might. I'm kidding.
Known in Japan as The Raven. No. No context.
I love that story.
No, today we'll be covering The Raven. Not Tree of Might, The Raven.
The Raven.
Tree of Might was the Dragon Ball Z movie.
That we have right in front of us, which is why I immediately shouted it. I love that movie.
Now, this is the second of the three films to have both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
It's easily the weaker one.
Of the two, yes.
Definitely not the weakest of the three,
no.
But it's definitely not great.
I honestly can kind of agree with that sentiment. It's not great.
It's just, yeah. Karloff is great in it.
Whatever.
And Lugosi is also pretty good. I don't know about you, but this feels like Lugosi's just sort of phoning it in, you know? You know what I mean?
I will admit that his accent that's present in the other two films is a bit less noticeable in this movie, and that might be on purpose. Like, he might be trying to hide his accent more.
Well, yeah, he's trying to play like an American doctor.
Yeah.
Which, good luck with that. Dr. Richard Vallin is Bela Lugosi. So it's a very, and this is actually it's actually more of a unique film. 1935.
Is the year it was released. And whereas Murders in the Rue Morgue was very, very loosely based on the story of the same name, and The Black Cat was just using the name and nothing else, this movie actually is at least slightly appropriately named. Right. In that the story has nothing to do with the original story in terms of basically, the actual context of the story.
Basically, Poe is canon in the world
of this
movie, which is why it's named the way it is.
It's at its core a movie about a fan of Edgar Allan Poe.
It's also one of the more interesting ones, whereas you had Bela Lugosi play the villain in Murders in the Rue Morgue, and you had Boris Karloff play the villain in The Black Cat. This one, both characters are technically villains.
Just one is the lesser of the two evils.
Quite, yes.
But we'll get into that soon enough. I guess we should probably start with the car accident, because that's what the movie decides to start with.
Wow, 2 movies in a row with a car accident. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, but this one happens immediately.
Yeah, this one just assaults us.
This one doesn't even have a build-up to a traffic accident. This one literally just starts with a car accident, and we're supposed to give a damn about the person afflicted who winds up in the hospital on near death. And her boyfriend, a doctor himself, is unwilling to perform the operation to save her life because he doesn't think he can do it. The other doctor who's actually treating her, also doesn't think she can do it. And the woman's husband, Judge Thatcher,
who's the father.
Judge Thatcher is the father
of Jean Thatcher.
The boyfriend is Jerry.
Yes.
And the woman who is dying is Jean Thatcher.
Yes. Oh, that's what... Hold on. You're making things more confusing. Jean Thatcher was in a car accident. The father, Judge Thatcher, and husband-to-be, Jerry, implore retired surgeon Dr. Richard Vollen to come out of retirement to perform an operation. The other doctor doesn't really have a name, and he can fuck off for all we care. Okay? Okay? Do we got that squared away? Yes? Good. Okay. Go on. So anyway, Vollen...
Yeah, thanks for just kind of cribbing Wikipedia. Now we're going to get sued for plagiarism.
Oh, no.
We're never going to get an A on this assignment. We need that to keep Wild Stallions alive.
What? The fuck are you talking about?
No context.
Anyway. So anyway, yeah, Vollen is like... Vollen's talking to somebody.
I think he's talking to, like, a museum curator or something. The dude is interested in checking out Vollen's collection of models based on Edgar Allan Poe torture devices.
Torture devices. He has a pendulum, apparently.
And Vollen is the one that we previously mentioned as being obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe, to the point where he has a stuffed raven at his desk that he considers his icon. It's something. He recognizes it as being a symbol of death, which he greatly respects for some reason. Despite being a doctor who should be greatly fascinated with keeping people alive, which is the first real indication that there's something wrong with him.
Vollen doesn't give a shit.
Not really. But Judge Thatcher is absolutely adamant that Vollen save his daughter's life. And Vollen eventually agrees to do so after learning that not only does Jerry, but also the doctor who was actually in charge of taking care of Jean after the accident, both say that he's the better doctor of them.
He's just like, okay, I do like my ego.
Oh, okay.
I do like my ego being stroked.
So he performs the operation. It is a complete success, and she makes a full recovery.
Yay! Hooray for 30s medicine.
Hooray.
But
it soon becomes clear to the audience that Vollen wants a bit more in exchange for having saved her life. As he becomes growingly obsessed with her. Which becomes a bit more apparent when she decides to perform an interpretive dance version of The Raven while some guy at a podium just recites the poem.
Right.
I mean, he is enraptured. I mean, everybody loves the performance, but him especially. And Judge Thatcher, who's like right next to him, is like, dude, it's my daughter. Maybe
bitch,
stop creeping on her.
Bitch, don't kink shame me.
I mean, she's engaged, I think. Maybe, probably.
Even better. Yikes.
Hey, Gene, never see him again. Just trust me on this.
Yeah, well, how about I do anyway? So they go to hang out eventually. but that's for a later part. So, Vollen's at his home.
Judge Thatcher basically shows up and tells Vollen, hey, keep your hands off my daughter.
And Vollen's just like, no.
Keep your hands off my daughter.
No. Alright. Alright, you son of a bitch.
Alright then. As long as we're clear. I'm just gonna leave now.
I'm gonna leave now.
And then Vollen is then visited by a man with a beard. Which is so descriptive.
So descriptive. A man with a beard. Edmund Bateman, played by Boris Karloff, who apparently killed a man for some reason.
And committed some other crimes for which he is now wanted by the police. And
he
has come to Vollen, who immediately recognizes Bateman because that guy bothered to read in a newspaper.
Yeah.
So and Bateman's like, look, I heard from a guy that you can change my face. Can ya? Can you make me look different?
I'm not into plastic surgery. What do you think I am? A miracle worker?
Look, man, I heard from a guy that you could do me this solid, okay? Look, I'm ugly, okay? I'm ugly. And people don't like me because I'm ugly. And I think maybe the fact that I'm ugly makes me do ugly things. Volan's like, interesting hypothesis.
Interesting. Let's test that shit theory, shall we?
Whatever, Count Chocula.
Carl, I was going for...
I know, the Count.
I was going for the Count.
See, I couldn't remember what the Count was called beyond the Count. So I just went with Count Chocula.
Bitch.
Knew immediately that was wrong. But fuck it, I've gone this far already. I may as well commit.
So anyways...
So Volan does agree to help Bateman on the condition that Bateman does some horrific acts for him. It's like, I don't want to do that because I'm trying to get out of that business. I was like, well, I know what you've all done. You do this stuff for me, and then I'll do you the solid. It's like, no. All right, fine. I'll change your face.
Basically, Bateman subtly is just like, hey, if you don't do this, imagine what I'm gonna do to you.
Pulls a gun on him.
Pulls a gun on him. You're changing my face.
So Volan's like, okay.
Okay. And the surgery was a complete success! For Volan, at least.
Yeah, it turns out what Volan did was change Bateman's face, but make him uglier and actually...
Fuck up his eye. Fuck up his eye badly.
I'm not gonna lie. Makes him look like he had a stroke.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say that, but I feel I am allowed to, given what happened a couple years ago.
He has a stroke face. That's not...
Of course, the dead eye is completely obviously fake. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah.
It has absolutely no shine to it at all. It does not move for the remainder of the movie. And Volan undoes the bandages around him and is like, oh, did you change my face? Am I beautiful? And it's like, yeah.
Beautiful.
Can I see what I look like? Yeah, no, sure. Just let me step out of the room for a minute. Steps out of the room. Bunch of curtains open in the background, revealing a bunch of mirrors. Which, why does Volan just have like a wall of mirrors in his secret laboratory?
Well, he was doom building. Hear me out here. He was doom building, and he forgot to put textures on there. On the walls.
Okay.
So?
I do not understand that, but to be fair, I made a joke that you didn't understand earlier, so...
Doom programming has a thing. It has a wall of mirrors effect when you don't put a texture on a wall.
Does that mean you can finally see what Doom Guy looks like?
No.
Then what's the point?
It heavily distorts everything. So yeah.
So Bateman finally gets a look at his...
Side note, the mouse trail, the little mouse trail that happens
if you
when you move it, you know.
If you have that setting.
Yeah, when you have that setting. Yeah, imagine that happening to the game itself, visually, when you move around.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get what you mean now.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it does. The wall of mirrors.
I think I saw a picture earlier that used that kind of effect.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, so Bateman fucking shoots all the mirrors, and well, Lugosi's just
Lugosi's just peering in from like a caged window. It's like,
you got you now, son of a bitch.
And then Bateman tries to shoot Volan, but Volan had somehow planned on there being enough mirrors that Bateman would run out of bullets before trying to shoot him, and just kind of assumed that Bateman would automatically shoot the mirrors instead of him first, and didn't even bother to take the gun away.
No.
Like, he had...
Volan's a bastard.
Volan had Bateman sedated to do this.
And didn't
bother to take the gun. And then just assumed that Bateman wouldn't shoot him right away.
You want to know the worst part about this? We're already at the halfway point.
Roughly, yeah.
There's really not a lot to this movie.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward plot with not a whole lot of twists and turns. It's revealed at this point that Volan's the true villain of the movie, and Bateman's kind of his unwilling subordinate.
Bateman's the anti-villain.
Kinda, really. Yeah.
He's a complete bastard, but
he's kind of sympathetic in his plight.
Yeah. You know, despite being a killer. Otto's tool, he is not.
But Volan's like, yeah, now, if you want me to make your face beautiful, do this shit for me. Okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to do all this shit for me. Have it done by Friday. Yeah, that'd be great. So Gene and Jerry get an invite from Volan to a party that's also attended by some other people. They don't matter.
Including, I think, a governor and his wife. I think it's a governor.
I don't know.
They're basically the comic relief duo of this movie, for what that's worth, and they're kind of odd.
Huh. we highlight one of the actors,
Ian Marcus Wolf.
Ian Marcus Wolf, and it's a screenshot of
an episode of Star Trek. Kirk just leaning by a window in the background. just no context.
No context.
Like, that's the image they decided to go with.
Yeah. Yeah, Samuel Southey Hins as Judge Thatcher.
I think it's the Grants.
What? Wait, what? There was Edgar Allan Poe here? Edgar Allan Poe was apparently in the movie.
What?
Yeah, apparently? Oh, well. I don't even... There's a few names here that I just...
I think that's supposed to be the butler.
That's not... No.
Or no, he's one of the other guests at the
He's
party.
one of the
Arthur Hoyt plays a guy named Chapman who's also at the party.
Yeah. Give me a second. Yeah, it's probably the Grants. Yeah, Bertram Grant and Harriet Grant. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, they're kind of the comedy duo of the group. And
though it's really more Bertram, because he kind of ends up being a bit...
He's the butt of the joke.
Kind of, yeah. Like, it turns out he loves getting free advice and constantly asks for it, even in situations that really wouldn't be terribly appropriate, like asking Volan, who is a medical doctor, about veterinary stuff.
He's dumb.
Or like interrupting a conversation in the middle of the night because his wife wants some sleeping powder and he was having a really good dream, so he came down to get some sleeping powder.
And Volan's like, yeah,
sure, here, take 2, 1 for yourself. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks, pal. Oh, shit.
But yeah, Volan invites a bunch of people to the party, including Jean and Jerry. And Jean has gone without her father's permission because he saw the invitation and was like, no. And then later he comes home, finds the invitation, and then a note on the other side. He's like, hey, we went to the party anyway. Later.
Bitch. So Judge Thatcher shows up and he's like, alright, we're leaving this instant. No, we're not.
There's like a scene where Volan basically reveals his fascination with death, which then leaves Jerry as like, but you're a doctor. You should be more interested in saving people's lives rather than them dying.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Sure.
Whatever you say, bud. Sure thing, pal. Bateman shows up and everybody's disgusted by him, even though he's not that bad looking, you know.
Honestly, if you look at the poster, I don't know if it's the poster. It's probably not the poster I'm using.
See, the poster makes him actually look
a little different, but he doesn't look too different from how Boris Karloff looks normally. At least not from what I can see.
Right.
Like,
oh, I forgot. He also did the amazing his Frankenstein impression.
Oh yeah, because initially his mouth isn't working properly. Yeah.
Dude, whenever Karloff does that, I'm so happy. I'm a little happy inside because it's like, yes, this is it. There was a video I was watching the other week of can't remember who the third guy was, but it was Vincent Price and Boris Karloff doing a duet that turned into a triet. And there was it was like a comedy skit of them making a robot and the third guy who was fucking around. So yeah, no, I gotta show you that video sometime. Okay. I can't remember it, but no, it was cute. It was nice. It was like I watched it and I'm like, those two are adorable together. Not in the way you'd think, but it's just like I'm deriving so much joy from seeing this. This is amazing.
But yeah, so Bateman shows up and everybody's a bit put off by his appearance, but Boland's like, oh no, don't worry about it. He just had a bit of an accident. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. He's just kind of right now acting as my manservant in place of my actual butler who left earlier in the movie for vacation.
So we say.
No, he actually left for vacation before Voland performed the surgery on Bateman.
Sure. Let's go with that.
No, anyway. Seriously, that is what happened.
Anyway.
So yeah, Bateman's a bit put off, or Bateman puts everybody off, but Bateman himself kind of finds, I think, Jean quite pretty. It's either that or one of the other ladies at the party.
He's just like, I can't do this.
It's like, I can't do this. I can't do this, man. She's too pretty. I can't do this.
Sure.
Roland's like, yeah, no, you're gonna do this shit. Okay, we're talking about this.
So long story short, Judge Thatcher's like, we need to leave now.
And nope. And so it's like, oh, well, all right, we'll stay the night.
Yeah, sure. And then he's kidnapped.
Yep.
Kidnapped by Bateman.
There is a scene, though, where Voland takes Bateman down to his secret chamber to show him the models of the torture devices from the Poe stories. And really the only one that's actually in any way really recognizable is the pit and the pendulum model. And by model, I mean like a full-scale replica complete with an actual sharp blade and a dropping mechanism.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And this is actually kind of the centerpiece for part of the movie. And Voland's just basically showing him what this thing all does. Shows him the mechanism for how it, the blade slowly descends and like lays on the table in demonstration. And Bateman's like, yoink! Straps Voland to the machine while he's just laying there. It's like, Bateman, how could you? It's like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? Well, not much, because, well, if you kill me here and now, you'll never get your beautiful face. Yes. Fuck! Fuck! Alright, you win!
I did not think this through.
I did not think this through all the way. I mean, I thought it through pretty well, but then you had a really good argument that wasn't actually all that good, but... Like
then I'll just kill myself and kill you. Ha ha!
Yeah. So Bateman reluctantly agrees and kidnaps Judge Thatcher, takes him down to the torture chamber and straps him to the pit and the pendulum model, and straps him on, turns on the machine, and Volan just gloats the entire time. He's like, hey, watch this thing. It's real sharp. We're gonna leave. This is gonna eventually murder you, but we're gonna go leave, and I'm basically gonna have my way with your daughter. Basically, that's my whole deal.
Something like that.
Then some stuff happens that I wasn't really paying much attention to.
All the side characters are not that interesting.
But yeah, eventually, Gene, Jerry, and then another couple who were at the party that weren't the Grant couple because they're no longer relevant for the remainder of this movie. Somehow find their way down to the torture chamber. Some stuff happens. Volan has, I think, Gene and Jerry. To be honest, the two couples look so goddamn like
Judge Thatcher is put into the
pit in the pendulum machine.
Pit in the pendulum machine.
And then
he pulls a gun on them.
Yeah.
Pulls a gun on them, and he's like, "All right, you two, in there.
Get in this room."
Shuts the door.
Has Bateman shut the door.
Turn it on.
Bateman shut the door and turned the machine on. Because it turns out the room is basically just a crushing machine. So the walls are coming in and are about to crush the couple.
Yep, it's a compactor.
Yeah, a compactor.
Yep. And Bateman...
I mean, he was kind of pining for the lady that got shoved in there. And the other couple are just kind of standing around, not doing anything.
Well,
and then Bateman's like...
They don't want to get shot.
They don't want to get shot.
And Bateman's like, fuck this!
Turns off a machine and opens the thing, allowing the two to escape. And then...
He gets shot.
Volan shoots him. It's like, ha! It's like, fuck you! Tackles Volan into the room. Then goes and temporarily knocks Volan out.
Yep.
Then goes and shuts the door and turns the machine back on before expiring himself, leaving Volan to be crushed in the room by his own... hoisted by his own petard, as it were. And then,
no!
And then the two couples go to rescue Judge Thatcher, who is still strapped to the pit in the pendulum machine, which the blade's getting closer and closer, but they can't get it done because the mechanism is locked. And so they go back to Bateman, search his body, get the key, unlock Thatcher, and everybody lives happily ever after.
But wait, what about the Grants?
Fuck them. Fuck them.
And that's how the movie ends.
No, there's like, I'm pretty confident there's like an end scene that is similar to the ending scene from The Black Cat, but even dumber. Like, I think it's just Jerry and Gene driving off away and like, I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
This movie was not that good. Overall,
there's a reason we got through it pretty quickly. There's not much to say about it.
This is an incredibly simple movie. It has an interesting premise, but
interesting special effects.
Oh yeah, but beyond the fact that this is a movie about a guy who's obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe's torture devices, this movie really could have just been about a dude who was fascinated with torture devices. It didn't really have a whole lot to do with Edgar Allan Poe aside from just it being thematic.
Yeah, I agree with most of that.
Is my fidget spinner annoying you?
Yes. Yes, it does. The things you do on this podcast. I will.
I don't even know how well that was picking up.
I will fucking end you.
Tank, when you're listening to this, let me know if that got picked up or not.
Tank, beat the shit out of him next time you see him.
But first tell me if it got picked up. I
yes.
really need to know.
Yes, it got picked up. Wham! There's your answer, pal. Yeah, we're only half an hour into this episode. Woo, there's not much to say about this. This is like a 6 out of 6.
Wikipedia says that one by one the guests are caught in the Poe-inspired traps, and no?
No.
Like, only 3 people get caught in traps, and 2 of them get caught in the same trap at gunpoint.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I don't even know.
Yeah, just like with the
crap.
What?
Oh, shit. Frank Nugent of the New York Times declared, "If The Raven is the best that Universal can do with one of the greatest horror story writers of all time, then it had better toss away the other 2 books in its library and stick to the pulpies for plot material."
No.
Ow. Yeah.
Yeah, this is easily not the best of the 2. It's better than Murders in the Rue Morgue. It certainly has a decent atmosphere, but once you strip that away and just focus on the actual events of the movie, it's really simplistic.
Well, that's why we got through this so quickly. Is this the shortest one we've done?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of some short ones that we did.
And we only cover, and the actual runtime of this video of this podcast up to this point is only like half of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that, it's half the length of the movie.
It is an hour and 1 minute. That's why we got through it so quickly. There's not much to talk about.
There was a lot more to say with Murders in the Rue Morgue, which now makes me think that was the better of the 2 movies.
No. There's more to talk about because there's just more there's more what? There's just more what the fuck shit.
Admittedly, Lugosi and Karloff are still the best parts of this movie, and their interactions are pretty good, but not quite on par with the Black Cat.
It doesn't have like the gripping backstory. Bateman, I'm a murderer. Please change my face. And Volan doesn't even like fucking really know the guy. It's not like in Black Cat where it's like
there is a history.
You fucked me over during the war, got me sent to a prison camp, fucked my wife, killed her, and now we're fucking my daughter. I'm gonna fucking gut you like a fish.
The same daughter you had me believed died.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking gut you like a fish.
No, I'm not gonna gut you. That'd be too quick.
I'm gonna skin you alive.
And that's just not here. I mean, the whole potential philosophical issue of being ugly causing you to do ugly acts, and Volan being like, well, if I make you uglier, you'll commit even more ugly acts, is completely thrown under the rails by the fact that Volan is clearly being a worse person at that very moment and isn't himself ugly, or at least nobody considers him to be ugly.
Right.
Which just immediately throws whatever potential philosophical issue that could have been raised right out the window.
Don't mind me.
Oh, but I mind you quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this movie is probably like a 6 out of 10.
The torture chamber with all its various torture devices is an interesting one, but and maybe this is just me not being terribly familiar with Poe's entire library of work, but I don't really remember a whole lot of torture devices from his stories. I really only remember the Pit and the Pendulum and the Castle of Amontillado having anything even relating to torture devices.
Right.
And Castle of Amontillado is more like a structural torture device.
There's the Pit and the Pendulum, which actually had a crusher in it. I just want to... So, the way the story goes, it's the Spanish Inquisition, when this guy is thrown into a pit and pendulum, and he manages to escape the pendulum, and then the walls start closing around him, forcing him into the pit, before the Spanish government shows up, and it's like, we've come to save the day! What the hell happened here? And that's how it goes.
So basically, the two torture devices that are used in this movie are from the same story.
Yes.
Which is not used as the title of this movie.
Yep.
I mean, I will admit, using The Raven as the title of a movie about a guy obsessed with Poe makes sense, since The Raven is Poe's most famous story. But if you're going to have such an obsession with torture devices, maybe name the story after one of the stories that has torture devices in it.
Yeah,
The more I think about it, the more upset I am about this movie. The more I actually hate it.
Wow. I don't think it's as bad as you're trying to. I don't think it's as anger.
Maybe I'm overthinking things.
I don't think it's nearly as like anger-inducing as you might think it is. I just think it's not a good movie. I think it's okay.
Like, honestly, even earlier, like within the past week, thinking about this movie, I was not nearly as upset as I currently am. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This is a weird movie. This is one of the weirdest ones we've done, because it's like we can't. There's no way to really form an opinion about this other than. There's not much to talk about. The character, like the acting's fine. The sets are fine.
The atmosphere is fine, but without the context of the atmosphere, it's an incredibly basic.
I think it's lacking good direction.
Yeah.
It is. It has a bad script and bad direction, I think. I don't mind. I know a lot of people say that Boris Karloff is miscast here. I think he's fine. You should have done more with him. Should have given him more of a backstory. Hell, you could have turned this into an hour and a half and, give Karloff a backstory about how he killed a man.
But considering...
In a flashback, even.
Well, considering that this movie and the other Poe movies are roughly an hour long, I think that was probably just the standard of movie length.
What? No, the more I think about this, you could have done more with this.
So this is making you more upset than
It's not making me more upset. It's just there's a lot of lost potential here. In fact, a better way to have done it would have been have Vaughn hates Bateman, and Bateman doesn't care for Vaughn. And I'll give him a backstory that, Bateman did something to Vaughn that Vaughn's never forgiven him for.
But that would basically be just retreading the Black Cat.
But it would be the inverse.
Kind of, in terms of the actors playing the characters, but...
And then when, you do the face change, you do the surgery, you turn Bateman, it's just like, if I get the chance, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. And Vaughn's just like, no you won't, because... it's so-and-so, I have all this dirt over you, you even try to kill me, I'll turn you over to the cops, blah, 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 I don't know. A lost potential here. This was a short one.
Yeah, incredibly short. It's disappointingly short, in fact.
I don't know, any recommendations?
Yes. I'm actually going to recommend the anime Paranoia Agent, which I will admit I haven't seen in over a decade.
Right.
But, wow, that is a really good anime. It's from the director Satoshi Kon, who's probably more famous for his movies like Paprika, Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers, and Perfect Blue.
Yes, I was about to mention, yeah.
And this is...
Satoshi Kon's a bit of a controversial figure in Japan. He makes some very good movies, but very controversial ones, shall we say. Like Perfect Blue is probably one of his most controversial.
I wouldn't know since I haven't actually seen any of his movies.
Basically, Perfect Blue picks apart the whole idol culture in Japan, and just sort of the taxing effects it has on people mentally.
But that's not what I'm recommending. I'm recommending Paranoia Agent,
right.
Which is a series about a seemingly random attack perpetrated by a mysterious young boy wearing a pair of golden rollerblades and wielding a bent golden bat, whom the public dub Little Slugger, who, like I said, seemingly random attack, but this then leads to a string of attacks, all perpetrated by Little Slugger, that just start to gradually and wildly grow completely out of control.
Right.
As the police are intent on catching this attacker.
This little bastard.
Yes. And it is such a fantastic series. It's very psychological. Like there's one episode after I think it's the second episode that focuses on a school teacher and her whore sister, and the teacher is actually engaged, but her whore sister is basically trying to ruin the teacher's life, which ultimately ends up resulting in the two getting into a fight, and then we learn that they're the same person, and then they get attacked by a Little Slugger.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
And I certainly did not plan this when I was planning to make this recommendation, but the day that we were recording this podcast just so happens to be Satoshi Kon's birthday. If he were still alive.
Right. He passed away, what, 90, 95, 96? Somewhere?
No, because Paranoid Agent came out in like 2004, and he created and directed that.
Satoshi Kon, when did he pass away? He passed away in 2010. Okay, I was off by like a decade.
Yeah. Decade and a half about. But, yeah, really good. The series is actually coming out on Blu-ray real soon, which I am going to pick up because I really want to check that show out again. Like, there was so much about that show that I recently remembered was a thing. And even then, I remembered quite a bit about the show even a decade after watching it. Which, it's only 13 episodes, so it's incredibly short, but god damn is it a very, very memorable 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Any recommendations for you?
I don't have any this time, honestly.
No. Well then how are we going to pad out this video to maybe an hour?
Well, talk about... No, let's not talk about WWE. I'd rather not.
I actually do kind of want to bring up a bit of WWE because lately I've made the decision to stop watching Raw because, well, if you've seen I'm pretty sure it was the last podcast we did where it was the Murder in the Rue Morgues where we kind of ranted a bit about how kind of repetitive Raw has been lately. And that really kind of came to a head for me lately when the Seth Rollins Mysterio family feud decided to bring up the whole Dominic Mysterio custody battle storyline from way back when and basically do that again, but with the daughter this time around. And I was like, really? Really? You're bringing that storyline up and trying to redo it again? Really? Did anybody even like that storyline when it was happening?
I'm out of it right now. I'm so out of it.
I was like, I'm done with that, and then I'm done with that storyline, and then you get to the Clash of Champions, the Raw Tag Team title match between the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Garza, which ended controversially, even within the context of the show itself. It was a controversial ending. It's like, oh, son of a bitch, they're going to keep going with this, aren't they? That's it. I'm done with Raw. I am done with Raw. And this is recorded before this week's Raw is airing, which is the second half of the WWE draft.
I might catch that.
I did watch SmackDown and that half of the draft. and was immediately upset when Seth Rollins was picked for SmackDown. Now, bear in mind, I'm still watching SmackDown because I actually like the Fiend, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross stuff that they have going on, in addition to some of the other storylines that are going on. But this really upset me. I was like, oh, god damn it. And then later on, they had the Mysterios also drafted to SmackDown. It's like, oh, son of a bitch. I was trying to get away from you!
Oh, well.
So I'm upset about that. But I was a bit surprised at the fact that they decided to basically break up the New Day.
I'm okay with it. It's Big E.
I mean, I'm
It's
interested.
It's better this way than, a Big E were to turn heel on them.
Right. I do kind of... I am interested in seeing how this all plays out. I mean, I don't know if I'll be convinced to watch Raw again unless tonight on Raw they decide to draft Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross. Then I'll probably watch Raw instead of SmackDown. And I have a phone call. Hello?
Yeah, so anyway, they also break up Heavy Machinery, which is one of the weirdest decisions I've ever seen them make. Otis still has the Money in the Bank. Tucker drafted to the other brand, and I'm questioning what the hell they're going to do now. Are they just going to have Otis and Andy now? I don't really understand it. What's the end game here for Tucker, and what's the end game for Otis? Because when you split up Heavy Machinery, it just, I don't know, it just seems like you're splitting up a tag team for no real good reason without any sort of forethought or plan to it. I don't, just don't understand it, honestly. I'm nonplussed by the whole Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins thing. I think that's whatever. I couldn't care less. It's just a lot of weird decisions here. Outside of the only intriguing one is Big E. AJ Styles going back to Raw, I think.
I just came back to the conversation. What was the last thing you just said?
AJ Styles going back to Raw, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's whatever. He's gonna do it every fucking draft.
And you had mentioned that they're breaking up Heavy Machinery.
Yeah,
but
that one's a dumb decision. It doesn't really have any.
That, I mean, not in the complete capacity. It didn't seem like that's what was happening. All that really seemed to happen was that Otis was staying on SmackDown for sure, and Tucker's fate was not certain. So that could change, or he could go to Raw.
Yeah,
I don't really know what else you were talking about while I was on the phone. Dead silence.
I love that movie. I'm just kidding. I don't even think that is a movie. Oh well. Hold on.
Now I'm curious.
We're gonna. Shit. Fuck.
Why are you not using your phone?
Fuck this. Damn it.
For context, the table we're using to sit across from each other is kind of blocking the keyboard as
Dead silence.
As he's trying to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is a movie.
Oh yeah, the one with that dummy.
It's the shitty one.
Also,
22 million worldwide against an estimated $20 million.
So technically it broke even.
That's a fucking terrible movie. At least there's Donnie Wahlberg. You remember Donnie Wahlberg?
Yes, I did watch Transformers Age of Extinction. No, that was Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Donnie Wahlberg then?
That's his brother. You didn't know you had a brother, huh?
I mean, I'm sure he had a brother, but I didn't remember him. It's like... So the guy who wasn't in Transformers Age of Extinction. Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we're finished here.
Yeah.
Oh well, whatever.
This is a short one.
not really much to write home about. Thanks everybody so much for watching.
Yeah, I'm not even going to put any image about WWE up there. I'm just going to keep the paranoia agent image up for the remainder of the time.
Sure, why not?
It's better to look at than some of the stuff that's actually happening on WWE.
Yeah, out of this, I'd say Black Cat, Raven, and then Murders in the Rue Morgue. Because Murders in the Rue Morgue is just so dumb.
Yeah.
It, like...
I will admit that at the time we were watching Raven, I did feel it was better than Murders.
It's just... The more you think about it, the more you would start to question it. But that doesn't make it any worse than...
But I just realized we never gave it a star rating.
I gave it 6 out of 10.
I give it a 5.
I think it's far too mediocre to be 5.
So a 4?
No.
I mean, you gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6.
And you're like, oh, it's too mediocre to be a 5, so it should be a lower rating?
No.
It's like that your argument wasn't really that good of a justification for a better rating. at least from my perspective.
It's too mediocre to be a 5, but it's not good enough to be a 7. It's just like, it's okay. It's an okay movie.
I'm giving it a 5. I wanted to give it a 4, but I think I'm okay with settling on 5.
What did we give Murders in the Rue Morgue? We gave that one a 4, didn't we?
Maybe lower?
I can't remember. It's not a bad movie. No, it is a bad movie. It's a dumb movie.
It's far from the worst movie. I mean, it's at some point I kind of want us to cover the movie Moontrap Target Earth, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Is it worse than what's the movie called? Where like the monster shows up like 60 minutes.
King Dinosaur?
Yeah, and it's not even a dinosaur.
It's debatable as to whether or not it's worse or better. It's about on the same level, but I would almost argue worse because I picked up Moontrap Target Earth on the assumption that it had a giant robot in it because that's what showed up on the DVD cover.
Yep.
And guess what doesn't show up in the movie at all? The robot on the cover. I mean, yeah, 2 robots show up in the movie, but they're like only slightly larger than a human.
You should do it for an April Fool's.
Maybe we should do that for April Fool's this year.
You and Tank, I'm talking.
Oh, it's like a ProtoBalls, but the balls ain't here.
Yeah, I was gonna like an actual like ProtoMet review. Just like, all right, what the fuck? There's nothing in it. What do we do, Tank? Burn it.
The plot itself also doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the movie's title is only half true, because the movie does take place on Earth and the Moon, but there certainly are no traps, nor is anything really targeted. And the weird thing is, it's maybe a sequel to another completely obscure movie from a couple decades earlier.
I got it. I've got the next movie for us to do. Cannibal Holocaust.
I thought we were doing Halloween 2.
Cannibal Holocaust. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.